Jean-Francois Major, and I'm a video game programmer and also co-founder of Trivia Games. If I could quickly explain Wizorb, it would have to be a mix between Arkanoid, so like a brick breaker, meets Zelda. Your normal brick breaker is just like static bricks, but we added monsters, boss fights, and there's also like a little village that you have to rebuild and interact with NPCs, kind of similar to what Zelda Link to the Past is, but it's fairly like pretty simple. Like most of the game takes place into the brick breaker aspect of the game.
I remember walking around and like talking to people and probably giving money or something, but I don't really remember too much of that part of it. I know I definitely lived more in that brick breaking part. So
basically the story is like the Gerudo village got invaded and it got destroyed.
Gerudo Kingdom, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder where that name came from. Hey, I mean, you guys are Tribute Games.
Yeah, exactly. We definitely are old school fans of tons of old games, I guess. The premise when you're in the village is to basically rebuild the village. So it was invaded, destroyed. So you go on, try to tackle the various worlds to collect money and then rebuild the village. And that's the gist of it.
That's pretty much what I remember from that.
It's fairly simple. Like we didn't like go overboard with story and everything.
What inspired the creation of such a game?
Trivia Games, made up of ex-Ubisoft employees. We used to work on mostly Game Boy Advance titles. We're huge fans of 2D. When Ubisoft let go of all these 2D games, or kind of started focusing more on 3D games, especially with the DS and the 3DS, we kind of felt out of place. Like we wanted to keep doing 2D games because that's what we're good at and that's what we really enjoy doing. So we started thinking, let's start a company and let's do like a fairly small game. And my business partner, Jonathan, he always kind of dreamed of doing a brick breaker. One thing led to the other. We decided like it's going to be a great project to do like a small game and then get it released as soon as possible, get our name out there, say that we're able to release games, we can make good games, and then move on from there and tackle like our next bigger project once we've kind of, how do I say this, like
established.
Establish and like learn everything that we didn't know how to do when like starting up a business. It was less risk to tackle a smaller project. It was less risk to take on like a smaller project over like Mercenary Kings, for example, which is an insanely big project. If we had to do like business mistakes on Mercenary Kings, it would have been really costly. So that was kind of the idea behind it. And yeah, we're huge fans of Zelda, obviously, and kind of put one and one together.
What hurdles did you guys face with creating this game?
I think our hurdles were mostly on more the business side and distribution and everything. So when we started the company in 2011, most distribution platforms were fairly closed off. So it was really hard to release your game on consoles or on Steam. So one of our initial decisions was to use XNA so we could release on Xbox Live indie games. That was like pretty much the only way to release on consoles back then. And we were hoping to actually like kind of convince Microsoft to let us release on XBLA, which that never panned out. So yeah, the hardest like hurdle was to actually make contacts and with like media and also with distributors and convince them to give us a shot and let us sell our games on these platforms that have more eyeballs than Xbox Live indie games. And at the time, like we initially released it on a platform called Gamergate or something like that. And like we thought like that could have, like people would find us and the platform didn't really have any impact. But as soon as we got on Steam, a few months later, we noticed that just the Steam sales for like, I think 2 days eclipsed everything that we had made over the past like 4 or 5 months. Those were like our biggest challenges, getting your game out there, but also in front of the biggest fan base and everything. It's definitely something you have to keep in mind when you're working on a game.
When you guys released this, was this before the Steam Greenlight thing?
Yeah. So the process with Steam before Greenlight, you actually had to fill in a form. And then you didn't know anything. Like, you didn't know what was going on. And I remember, this is actually kind of a funny story. I actually got an email from Valve saying, that was like probably 2 months or 3 months in, your game crashes. That was like the only thing inside the email. And I was on vacation when I got that email, and I scrambled to find a laptop and tried to figure out what was going on with like his crash. And managed to fix it, sent him a new build. Didn't hear from him for probably a good 2 months after that.
Oh, wow.
And then he said, yeah, so it was super stressful. And then he told me, like, your game's awesome, we want it on Steam, but that was around like probably December, and they said, like, this is not the best time, like, try again like in March and we'll see what we can do. So tried back in March and everything went smoothly. So yeah, that was really a stressful time. Yeah, we were afraid we kind of missed our shot.
I also own this game on PS3, which is also cross-buy with it's a
PSP,
right? So it's PS3, Vita, PSP, and also Vita.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you tried playing well, not have you tried, but what's your poison? PC or console?
Well, I always play console games. Like, I enjoy my PC, but like normally when you buy a game on consoles, just work and don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to worry about upgrading your system. That might not be as true now with the PS4 Pro and the Scorpio, but we'll see how that goes.
My real question really was, I used to play on consoles, maybe up until like 2 weeks ago. Literally, that was my system of choice, consoles.
Yeah.
But I can't play first person shooters with the mouse, keyboard. I can't do that. However, Wizorb was actually my first game where I couldn't play on the consoles. I had to play it using keyboard and mouse.
Yeah.
Because you get that responsiveness, that quickness. Mm-hmm. It almost made it easier, maybe.
Definitely.
I'm not sure if that was how it was supposed to be, but I couldn't play this game on consoles.
So the game was always built with the console in mind. Like that was our goal. Like, we wanted to go back to consoles. So initially, like, we built the game for Xbox 360. Everything was really balanced with the controller in mind, but it was also balanced to be a really difficult game.
Yeah.
And obviously, when we released on PC, we didn't really modify it or kind of tweak it to be harder with a controller where you can swipe the paddle across the level like in a fraction of a second. It obviously makes things much easier and it's more accurate and everything. So we found that on iOS and PC, the game is much easier and possibly like more enjoyable. The game was definitely designed for controllers.
I could see this working really well with the PS4 touchpad.
Yeah, so not a lot of games actually use that touchpad. Yeah. Like, we put it in Mercenary Kings, but it was basically for like the mini-map when you're looking up like your mission info and stuff. It's kind of in an awkward position, so not a lot of games use it. It's funny that you mentioned that you played the PS Minis version, because that one wasn't handled by us. We actually ported, someone reached out to us to actually port it for us. It's probably like one of the last ports that was made of the game. How do you like the PS Minis version compared to the PC, since you played it?
So I actually started playing on the PC first, and then when I saw there's a small bundle for like 99 cents, and it came with Wizorb and a bunch of other games. That's how I acquired it. And that's when I started to use the controller, and I was like, nope, not doing it. Sorry. And I mean, and I don't play for achievements or anything like that, really. But having that on Steam was nice. So
yeah, for sure.
You know, I kind of went that route. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very difficult on PC. So I could imagine with the controller not being able to, you know, swipe left and right really quickly, how much more difficult that was. I remember sweating at points while I played this game. So I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I played a few levels using an Xbox controller or something. But yeah, from the little bit I played, I couldn't tell any difference. I had no idea it was like developed by someone else, you know, like ported or whatever. Is the price on the Xbox version? Because I remember when they did their it was like the indie game thing. It was kind of new, and the price points were really weird. It was like either 99 cents or like $5. Or
$3. Oh, yeah, there were 3 price points.
Okay.
So that kind of actually impacted our price point. Games that were selling for $5 on that storefront didn't sell at all, and we felt like our game was worth more than $1.
Oh.
So that's why we decided to go in between. Then we kept that price point when we released on PC and iOS and basically every other platform, but it's super hard to monetize a game that's $3, especially not on iOS where you have millions and millions of people that have like devices. On Xbox Live Indie games, like a game that's on a different storefront that's not like in everyone's face all the time, definitely difficult to make a living off of. And at the same time, like our goal was really just to get our name out there, so we were happy just getting the game out, making sure like as many people try it out, and hopefully convert them to the Tribute family and have them follow us.
Yeah, well, you sure as hell got me.
Cool.
Some really incredible games came out on that system, you know, indie Xbox Live. I'm not sure what they call it, for like $1. And
yeah,
I mean, they're worth so much more. I mean, right now you could get Wizorb for $3 on Steam. And I think that's an incredible bargain. I think
so too.
Yeah, like no, this game should be at least 10. You know, if you were to compare with other games, I mean, that's the only way you could kind of compare these things. For $3, this is a bargain. Everyone should definitely get this.
Yeah, and it's always on sale. Like every Steam sale, we put it pretty much at $1. So if you don't yet have it, like, please get it.
Yeah, please do. No, seriously. The arrow for this game, you know, you start off with the paddle, and then the arrow starts moving left and right. Now, I played many versions of Arkanoid or Brick Breaker or whatever you want to call it these days. A lot of games struggle with this piece. I think the arrow is perfect, but I thought it was really blunt considering how sweet and soft the rest of the game was. And so I was just wondering, was there like another way you guys like tried to implement that at first, and then like you decided on the arrow?
Oh god, I think I'm pretty fortunate because my business partner, and he was the game designer behind the game, he tends to playtest a bunch of stuff on his own. Like he's decent at programming, so he actually made like a prototype in Game Maker, and he probably did his own iterations on exactly that. So I don't even remember having to code anything else. Like it was basically like, this is how it'll go. And maybe he spent like a month on it. I never saw anything about it. So there is no surprise.
It's perfect. Don't get me wrong. It was. I couldn't imagine it any other way. The only thing is, I remember playing other games, and it's like which way is the ball gonna go when I click that button?
Yeah, that was a big challenge. Like we actually used a physics engine for that game. Our biggest challenge was trying to get that physics engine to actually cooperate and be more intuitive, but like you could guess where the ball would go or how it would bounce instead of being somewhat random. So we kind of made it a bit less physicky and more like arcade, where we actually tried at the paths of the ball in a way. So I think that's what definitely helped make the game feel good.
Well, was there any point where the paddle was a different shape, like round, or was it always just flat?
Yeah, it was always flat. Like we really tried to stay true to like our roots. I think it would have like betrayed the brick breaker genre if we had tried to do a different type of paddle. Like I think if we like, I'd like to do a Wizorb 2 eventually.
That was one of my questions. I wanted to know.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not committing to anything, but. That's one thing I'd like. I think that we would all like to kind of try out and possibly kind of break the pace a bit and not only be like an Arkanoid type of game, like maybe throw in some pinball, or we could also toy around with a representation of the paddle. Like maybe it could be something else. Like we could, I don't know, I'm throwing ideas out there, but like it could be a like Plinko table, or I don't know how you call that, that game that's like on
Price is Right?
The Price is Right, yeah.
When you guys first started to make this game, did you have the RPG element of it in mind, or was it like the Arkanoid first and then like that kind of fell into place?
Well, we prefer to call it like light RPG because there's like no real XP. It's more like some iconic elements like the mana, some like power-ups, and then you have those magic spells and everything. That was always the idea, to make it look like a Zelda. If we were to do like a sequel, we would probably try to put more in, like actually have classes or like experience in trees and everything, where you can like kind of select your pact and your gameplay style, maybe set up your character's magic spells ahead of time or something like that. So, for a sequel.
The character's name, Cyrus.
Yeah.
That's how you say it, right? Cyrus.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Is there any context to the name?
Oh god. I think we just thought it sounded cool.
It does sound cool.
There must be like a some sort of influence behind it, but I'm just a programmer. I obviously like helped shape the game, but yeah, I think that didn't really come from me, so it's hard to say.
I thought that the power-ups in the game, or you know, the powers, or whatever you might want to call it, I thought that they were really well thought out. Were there? I mean, it has everything that one could possibly want in there. But were there any that didn't make the cut?
God, tough questions. Like it's been 4 years. I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I'm trying to remember because it's been like close to 5 years since we worked on the game, so it's a bit far in my memory. We mostly had these ideas because we kind of sat down and we thought, like, what are situations that are annoying in brick breakers? You know, like how sometimes like you'll have one brick that's just laying there and just can't seem to get that perfect angle, and that's kind of how we design powers around like what are situations that like make the game a bit frustrating. So that's how we got like the fireball definitely helps that. Sometimes like there's bricks that are super hidden behind like non-breakable walls. So like the fairy would allow you to kind of reach that. Sometimes you'd have like a huge set of bricks. You're like, this is going to be super long and tedious. I just want to like cannonball through it. The little wind effect gives you that little nudge to redirect the angle. So yeah, it's going to be the worst answer, but I feel like we kind of got it right.
Yeah, no.
Pretty much from the start.
I do feel so.
Try to remember how that went, but a lot of the work went into the prototyping phase that Jonathan did before I actually put my hands on it. So maybe he tried a couple of things as well that just didn't make the cut. I really wish I had a better answer.
No, that's fine. You said before that you guys work for Ubisoft. Well, I say Ubisoft, but I'm guessing you guys say Ubisoft. And
I don't know what's that. Yeah.
I'm not sure if you know about their, like, I can't remember what they call it, Ubisoft Collective or so, it's something along that line. and it's where they kind of support the indie scene.
Yeah, I think you're mixing up with Square Enix.
Oh, yes, you are correct. I am sorry. I take back that question.
I left Ubisoft about 7 years ago. So yeah, the indie scene was pretty much nothing back then. So like it started like exploding probably like in 2012, 2013, and probably 2014 is when everything really got out of hand or something. Everybody decided like, let's leave our jobs and start making video games. And I don't think, those programs wouldn't have made the light of day back then. That's what I meant, I guess.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, I was really going to ask you, like, did they try to like contact you guys or anything like that? But it wasn't them.
Yeah, they've actually tried to publish some of our games, but it just never panned out, and we're not really actively looking to like for publishers. I think we're doing a pretty decent job on our own. But yeah, they actually know that we exist, and that we keep on working on 2D games. So yeah, they noticed.
Interesting. Good. Yeah. Does it? I mean, did you guys leave on good terms, or was that like, oh, I'm leaving, I'm storming out of here right now?
Yeah, no, there's never any point in like burning bridges, so
right.
I would definitely not recommend that
to anyone at any time.
Yeah, as long as, I don't know, like I would say it could happen, but yeah, ideally don't do it.
Yeah, for sure. What's your favorite level, if you could even remember them? My
favorite level would probably be one of the ones that you had to like actually match gems together so they would break.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't know if you made it to that part.
I beat the game.
I think it's towards the end of the game. Like eventually there's blocks that flip colors when you touch them.
Yeah.
And then there might be like 3 or 4 of them, and they have to like all be the same color so they explode. And that was kind of like, we kind of threw a challenge towards the end, and it made the game a bit more tricky, and you really had to use your magic to kind of go through those like somewhat little puzzles, I guess.
Yeah, I think those are the levels where I sweat the most.
For sure.
Well, what's your favorite boss?
That's a great question. I would have to say, I think it's not really a boss, but you know how there was like a side boss that was like you were kind of playing Pong with a guy with a shield, and then you had to like free the childs, like they were like in a cage behind the boss. So I think like that was a little boss that kind of threw like a different mechanic where it wasn't a brick breaker. You were basically playing Pong with an AI, I guess. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I never thought about it like that, but yeah, we were playing Pong. Are there any hidden Easter eggs in there that you think that most people wouldn't really see?
I haven't played the game way too long. I don't think we have like, there's that one level, but it's like just too obvious to be considered like an Easter egg. But there's like a level that the level spells out D, and then when you break the bricks, it kind of reveals end.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's a pretty bad Easter egg. I think at that time, like, we didn't really invest too much time into like our Easter eggs or seeking in little features here and there. We definitely try to do more in our other games. So if you try out our other games, like obviously there's way more stuff. Like for example, in Mercenary Kings, there's an area that's like hidden, and it's kind of like the tribute camp, and you can see all like everyone that worked on the game is actually like an NPC that you can talk to in that camp. There's also like the tribute gun that you can get. That's basically a gun that's really pink and it has like a heart on it. And then the bullets are actually like hearts, and I think it's the only projectile or bullet type that's actually different, that has like its own special art. Yeah, we kind of tried to squeeze in a couple of things like that.
Yeah, I'm still playing that one.
Yeah, it's definitely long. Like when we were in early access, you had this one guy that had over 200 hours of gameplay in it, and
wow,
he was just way too addicted. But yeah, you can probably breeze through it like in like 15 to 20 hours. But if you really want to take the time to craft all the guns and everything, like you're in for a good time.
Yeah, I kind of just started that one, so I'm not really too much, in theirs yet, but...
We'll do another interview if you want.
But I actually wanted to ask you at the end, in the future, like when might be, the season where you have the most time, where you could, like, probably do one of these again.
The recent weeks have been pretty hectic, but, like, next month and...
Oh, I'll need
it'll probably be easier.
I think I'll need a lot longer than that to play this game.
Yeah.
So I could contact you in the future then, right? And
yeah, for sure.
So
I'll always make time. Don't worry about it.
Okay, cool. Was the music done in-house?
Pretty much all our music is contracted, but it's always like friends of tribute, or like for example, Wizorb's music was done by Jean Chan, and she's Jonathan's girlfriend. And then all our other games, we've used Patrice Bourgeot, who's a pretty good friend of tribute, and they both do awesome work. I feel like our soundtracks are pretty good.
But the person who did the pixel art and animation, he did everything like the art itself plus the animation. I mean, I'm not sure how that works.
Yeah. So on Wizorb, the way it's split up is someone did the backgrounds, some of the gameplay elements like the bricks and that sort of thing, and then we had an animator that like designed and animated most of the enemies. We also got help from Paul Robertson, who did the animations for our bosses. So that's kind of how we tackled it. So we had Jonathan on game design and backgrounds, Justin Nasir on animations, and Paul on boss animations. I
remember clearly the animation for the I call him the slime boss, and when you hit him, like he spawns the little ones, the little balls. I don't know. The animation on that was really cool. I remembered it. I can't believe I remember that.
Yeah. Well, Paul Robertson is insane. He's so skilled in animations, and everything's so bubbly and bouncy and everything. It's really incredible.
Yeah, I was actually looking up some of his work. He worked on a lot of things.
Yeah, we actually worked together on Scott Pilgrim back when we were at Ubisoft, and then he helped us with Mercenary Kings and Curses and Chaos, and we're hoping to work with him on our future projects.
I hope you do. Did you guys prototype this game, or did you guys go straight into it? Like you had a clear idea and you went into it?
So yeah, we prototyped it a bit, but it was a really short development time. We quickly made decisions and stuck with them. So some stuff we kind of found out that it didn't work the way we were hoping for. Like for example, doing 12 levels and then a boss fight kind of feels tedious after a while, and we found out too late about that. So it was too late to kind of go back on that and rethink it, which kind of sucked. We really wish we could have improved on that, and that's definitely something we'll do in a sequel. Try to break the pace a bit more. So yeah, it was a really tight schedule, so not enough prototyping, and sometimes there's things that you really don't know until everything falls into place and you're pretty much done with the game, and then it's a big debate, should you ship it or spend another 6 months on it. And our situation was kind of tough where we had no financing, so it was basically should we eat ramen noodles for another year or something. So yeah, it's definitely tough when you're starting up. I'm still happy with like how the game came out, but that's definitely something I wish we had more time to actually prototype and see if it makes sense.
Was Wizorb Tribute Games' first game?
Yeah. So my business partner Jonathan, before we started Tribute, he worked on a small title called Ninja Senki that he released for free on the internet. And last year was the 5th anniversary of Ninja Senki, so we went back on that title and we made a deluxe version of it that we released for like $5 on Steam, Vita, and PS4. So technically it's not really our first game, because our like actual first game that we did with Tribute was really Wizorb, but that's kind of like how Tribute was kind of started a bit. Like, we kind of put that on like with our name, I guess, down the road. So.
How long did you guys spend on Wizorb?
I think the game was done in about 8 months, but we probably spent another 5 or 6 months just working on ports.
Wow.
So in the end, probably close to like a year and a half.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Definitely longer than what we had expected. Like we were used to releasing games actually making a game in like 8 months when we were working on Game Boy Advance titles. So like a really funny story is like when we did our business plan, like we had planned to release 3 games in about 2 years. And after 2 years, we had like 1 game and somewhat of a prototype for Mercenary King. So it was definitely tough to, like, we didn't really plan the business side of things and marketing, distribution, and all that stuff into our initial business plan. So games take much longer than what we had expected. To actually create.
How did you get into the field?
I've always been somewhat curious, I guess. So when I was really young, I played a bunch of games and eventually decided like I want to try to make mine, and started learning. I think it was QBasic, and it was really funny because like I was actually drawing everything like with code, and it was like I tried to make basically a game that was 5 games in one when I was 12 and never finished it, obviously. That was my first experience of being a hobbyist video game developer where that doesn't finish their games. And then basically I kept like learning on my own how to code. Eventually went to school in computer science. Here in Quebec it's a bit different where like in college you can take a special degree in computer science, then potentially skip university, and I always felt like the program was going much slower than the pace I was learning, so I kind of got fed up, didn't go to university, which I don't recommend. But I decided like I'll make my own path and convince people that I can code, that I know what I'm doing. So I started applying a bunch of studios back then, and I got a job at Microids as they called it integrator back then, which was basically scripting. So I was scripting gameplay in the first title I worked on was Memory the Apprentice Night, which is a game that came out on Xbox One, like the first Xbox, not the new one. Like the old school Xbox, and probably sold like 4,000 copies, so not a lot of people know about it, but it was supposed to be a Zelda killer, which starts off really bad when you think you can be a Zelda killer, I guess. I don't know. I really don't know what they were thinking, but the game's not that bad, but it's definitely not a Zelda killer. So yeah, I worked at that company for about a year and a half. Then I I don't know, like the company wasn't going so great, so I decided to switch, applied at Ubisoft, got a job there, but they didn't have integrators over there. It was level design. And level design at Ubisoft is a bit more vague, so I ended up doing actual levels in 3D for Rainbow Six. Back then was Rainbow Six Lockdown, which was a pretty bad game. And so I was in 3D Studio Max building like levels was definitely not my thing. I have no idea what I was doing. And yeah, I told HR, like the human resources, like I want a program like that's not what I'm good at. Like, please help me.
If you could give one tip to someone who wants to get into the field, what would it be?
I would say just get a bunch of friends together, work on little side projects. Don't necessarily have to finish any of them. Just toy around with like Unity. Like there's so many good engines that are basically free now that, and also don't limit yourself. Like choose whatever you feel most comfortable with, and just keep working with that. Like there's like way too many obstacles in making video games already. Like if you're at ease with Unity or with Game Maker or Unreal, like stay with that. Don't like just choose your tech because you think you'll get a job easier down the road. Like you can always adapt later. Yeah, that's like 5 tips.
Good tips. Are you playing any games currently?
I don't think I'm allowed to say that, but I'm way too addicted to Destiny, which is far from what we normally do. But I really love what they did with the game and all the mechanics, and it kind of fills my urge to collect stuff and just get loot. And then also playing Severed, which is really cool, from another Canadian studio, so that's pretty good. And I also tried Cryptid of the Necro Dancer, but unfortunately I got it on iOS, and I'll have to buy it again on Vita because it's really, like, touch controls just doesn't work with the game. Sadly, it's I don't know if you're familiar with it.
No, I'm not familiar.
Kind of like a roguelike where you have to move to a certain beat. So it's like it has to be really responsive when you touch the controls, and like iOS is obviously not the best device for that. So yeah. You should check it out.
Yeah, it's really good. I am. Everything you mentioned, I'm going to check out, actually. Any hidden retro gems from back in the days when you used to play video games on, systems or what have you, that you think most people wouldn't know of, that you think are great?
I'll just throw a name out there, but I think it's fairly known. But when I was a kid, I played way too much a game called Narc. I don't know if you've heard of it.
On what system?
On Nintendo, the NES.
Okay, yeah.
And it's basically super gory, beat 'em up, and you fight off hobos, and there's a part where you can drive a Porsche. And then, I don't know, it's a pretty random game, but yeah, it's definitely fun. And yeah, after that, like I kind of regret it because I went the Sega Genesis route as a kid.
One of those.
Yeah, and then I got a Sega CD, and it was all downhill from there. No, I enjoyed my Genesis.
Yeah, no, Genesis was good.
Yeah. Yeah, I played a bunch of Streets of Rage on Genesis and Golden Axe, Eternal Champions. Yeah, fun times.
Eternal Champions. I'm not too familiar with that one. Okay.
It's like Street Fighter, super gory type of game.
I had a feeling it was. The last thing, it's a small 6-question thing, game, if you want to call it that. I want to say a word, and then you tell me the first thing that comes to your mind.
Uh-oh.
Don't be afraid. Okay. Link.
Zelda.
Pixel.
Art.
Chicken.
Duck.
Orb.
Orb? Sorry?
Orb.
Orb. Wizorb.
Magic.
The Gathering.
Okay. Flint.
Hook. Have to plug that one.
Yeah, I threw that one in there for that. Nintendo.
Switch.
Heart.
Heart. God. I have to say I'm just blanked.
I actually put that one in there because it was it's the logo for Tribute games.
Yeah. Why did I not think about that?
The answer is okay, so actually, this is actually my last question now.
Yeah, sure.
The Nintendo Switch, what are your thoughts about it? And would Wizorb, or maybe even Wizorb 2, come to it?
I think we're pretty much done with Wizorb. Like one at least. So yeah, I don't see us porting it ever again. Just ported it already to just about every platform. So I guess you can never say never, but there's no plans for it. Wizorb 2 sometime for sure. I think we're all super passionate about the title and pretty proud of it. So it would be a mistake to not go back on it and obviously fix stuff that we thought weren't as cool as we were hoping for, and definitely expand on the experience. And the Switch, I'm super stoked. I wish I could pre-order it right now. I hope they're not going to do a NES Classic where you can't pre-order it, because
I actually pre-ordered my NES Classic and got it a day early. Yeah, surprisingly, in Target.
There was no way to pre-order one in Quebec, at least. Yeah, we're all refreshing like Walmart, Best Buy, and Toys R Us just to see if they refill like stock of the NES Classic at work. But yeah, the Switch, I think they're on to something great. Like, I actually skipped the Wii U, like I believe a lot of people, and they've always been super good at doing handheld devices, and this converts into a home console as well, or the other way around. I don't know how you should see it, but I'm pretty sure they're gonna knock it out of the park on the portable side. And we've always wanted to go back to our roots and double up for Nintendo handheld consoles, because that's where we kind of started off with like our titles that we did at Ubisoft for Game Boy Advance. So I'm really hoping it works out, and I'm really hoping we get to release stuff on the Nintendo Switch down the road. Yeah, it's a pretty promising console, I think.
I just want to thank you so much again for the time. Really appreciate it.
I always appreciate to talk about our old games and and our new games as well.